Oh, eating some pizza. Anyways, hi, I'm Skip Alsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime streaming show, where we watch old 16mm films. That was just Destruction of a Dam, which was a silent film made probably in the 20s or 30s. Really awesome. Love seeing stuff like that. And that was from the Orgone Archive, and ultimately from the Mogul Brothers Archive, a collection of films in New York City where you could rent them and watch them. Anyhow, we got a film set up on the telecine behind me, and this is called State Services. State Services. It's interesting. So the titles of films are sometimes what lead me to watch them. So if it has a compelling title, sometimes I got to see this. I don't know what this is. State Services, I'm sure I was like, and threw it aside. So that doesn't always work, because sometimes a good title means a bad film, or vice versa. So here's State Services. Maybe this will be an amazing film. Let's find out. Enjoy.
In one way or another, we all know what it is to offer and to receive help. But generosity and natural instinct have not been enough, and so providing welfare services has become a responsibility of the state. Today, all state services represent an attempt by the government of the state to meet the needs of its citizens.
For that purpose, of which $290 million represents an increase, most of which is mandated.
The governor of the state, together with the state legislature, usually decides what services the state will give and how much of state tax money will be spent on those services. Often he will make public appearances to explain and defend his state budget.
For the purpose of educating our young men and our young women. The next single biggest item is for public welfare, which is 22%.
Welfare is one of the most important and most discussed of all state services. Providing a strong and effective welfare service is extremely expensive and is usually paid for by taxes.
He had to support me and the baby, but he ignored it.
Well, see, until you are divorced from him, he is...
There are many citizens throughout the state who cannot help themselves and who must, for a variety of reasons, look to the state for help through welfare services. There are those who are in temporary difficulty and who need help simply for a short period of time.
How about your job with the contracting company?
We're supposed to start Monday.
It is important that they be given help to meet their immediate difficulties, and at the same time be encouraged to take responsibility for getting off welfare as soon as possible.
Okay, do you have any idea how much you'll be making?
Approximately $3 an hour.
Okay, that's good. What will you be doing?
Carpenter assistants.
Okay. What about yours, Spotty? What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to visit an older lady who is 89, a widow, has no family, is not ill enough to be confined to a hospital, and she is now in the home of what we call a foster mother.
There are those people who, because of old age or illness, will need the help of the state for the rest of their lives.
To live with a foster mother. My caseload is a varied caseload. I have about 20 general assistance cases, which are people without children, single persons. I have a few disabled and only about 9 or 10 old agers.
Like it? Mm-hmm. Yes, I like it all right.
There are those who try as hard as they can with their limited abilities to be self-supporting and not have anything to do with us. I would say there are more of them than the dedicated assistance recipients.
Barbara, tell me about the cases you're going to see today. Well, the one woman that I'm planning on seeing is a very young girl who has one small child.
A strong state welfare program does much more than simply give out money. It provides the trained people, such as caseworkers, who can give the kind of help that is needed.
She's a young girl who has lived in this area for most of her life and is familiar with it. So in this area, she's pretty much able to manage for herself.
What are we able to do specifically besides the assistance grant?
Well, more or less, I think it's just a listening ear. I have approximately 104 cases. About 39 of them are families with children. About 40 are mostly single people who fall in what we call the general assistance category, and the rest of the caseload is made up of old agers and people who are disabled.
Well, if you receive notice that you have to move, let me know right away.
You'll have people who have been on assistance who are just like you and I really feel that it's our obligation to see that these people who are, for one reason or another, less fortunate than we are, get the help they need.
On moving you from here to wherever it is that you want to move.
I was kind of worried about you last time I was out here. Have you been to the doctor?
Yeah. I was there last Wednesday.
These people's needs are intensified by their financial problems. That had a bad break, that became ill, a woman who just happened to marry the wrong man who picked up and left, and is just not equipped to care for her family herself. So that in helping them out financially, we try and meet all of the problems at the same time.
Now, as far as you know now, your rent is staying the same? Okay, well, if there is any change, please call and let me know.
Welfare is but one of the many services a state must supply if it is to meet the needs of all its people. There are other important state services that people need and should have. They all cost money, and they all result in high taxes.
I have to work very long hours, and I can't afford to hire a babysitter for my little girl. I have to leave her with a neighbor or just let her play on the street by herself. I wish we had a community daycare center or something like that where she could be taken care of and I wouldn't have to worry about her. It's hard to work when you're worried all the time. And if I have to quit my job, I don't know how we'll get along.
I'm 93, and I've worked hard all my life, and I raised my family, and they're all gone now. Arthritis got my hands, and well, I don't get around so much anymore. We ought to have a nice place where people who are too old or too sick to take care of themselves could go. I mean, not one of those terrible places like the ones you hear about, but some place where you could feel comfortable, and maybe there'd be somebody to take care of you, and maybe there'd be something to do.
Medicine, health. I think that's what we need the most. That's where the state should really do a job. You just can't afford to get sick nowadays. We need more state hospitals, outpatient clinics where people can get first-rate medical care even if they can't afford it. We need a good state medical research facility and a state medical college. It's too big a job for the cities, and the federal government has too much to do. I think it's something the state should be doing.
How do you know what you get when you buy food? How do you know whether it's pure or what's in it? How do you know you're getting in the box what they say on the label? If we know how to go to the moon, we ought to be able to see that our food is pure and our drugs are safe. What we need in this state is a service that protects the buyer, that really looks into things. I mean, I don't think that's too much to ask.
Name, address, date of birth, correct on your learner's permit?
Yes, sir.
Crippled or disabled in any manner?
No.
All right, look into the viewer.
You ought to see him on the highway. Crazy. Everybody's crazy. You should see the cars they drive. Who watches to see how they drive it all?
Narrow bridge.
Why doesn't the state do something? I mean, why doesn't the state do something?
Zone ahead.
Half the people driving shouldn't be allowed in the kiddie car. They've got bad eyes, they're too old, they don't know the signs. What we need is some tough tests for drivers. They ought to look over each car on the road carefully. What we need in this state is a good motor vehicle department and some policemen who care.
30 feet.
How should you apply your brakes on a slippery road?
Pumping motion.
I flunked my driver's test 3 times in a row, but it's not fair. They expect me to know too much, handling new cars. My dad tried to teach me, but he's no good at it. I could do it if there was some place to go to learn, some place where there were people who knew how to teach me. Professionals. No, I mean, like, that's their job. Something like driver's education class at the school or even at the police station. We can't afford private driving teachers, just for me. We've got other problems. I think the state ought to do something about it.
Drive straight ahead. I will give you further instructions as we go along.
Today, the demands upon the state for important and needed services are many, and they must be met. This is one of the most important tasks of the state government. What do you think of welfare services? What kind of services do you think the state should provide?
So I should say that my parents and my step-parents all did some sort of social service work. So I come from a bunch of social workers, mental health administrators, etc. So I am straight up liberal, almost socialist when it comes to my position regarding helping people in need. So that is why I do what I do and I say what I do. So anyways, it's not a soapbox, it's just a definition of who I am. Let's learn about some houseflies. Enjoy.
A clean, well-kept kitchen helps safeguard the purity of the food we eat. But even in this kitchen, there is an enemy to health. The common housefly is capable of contaminating food and spreading disease. This familiar insect can transmit serious diseases by feeding on man's food and infecting it with harmful microorganisms. To prove this, we can take any housefly and in the laboratory place it into a container of harmful bacteria culture. We'll allow it to walk across the culture. Next, we'll refrigerate the fly to slow down its movements. Now the fly, numbed with cold, can easily be transferred with sterile forceps to number 1 of these agar plates. Both number 1 and 2 plates are sterile. After the infected fly is allowed to move across the sterile plate several times, both plates are placed in an incubator and kept warm for 24 hours. Let's see the results. First, we'll look at the plate which the fly did not touch, the number 2 plate. It has remained sterile. On the other plate, number 1, on which the fly walked, we can see scattered colonies of bacterial growth. Among the bacteria carried by houseflies which might find their way into the human body are those microorganisms producing typhoid fever, dysentery, cholera, and tuberculosis. Every year, such disease-causing microorganisms infect people, not only in our own country, but in Europe, in the lands of Asia, and Africa. In fact, in most places inhabited by human beings, the common housefly can be found, for it is one of the most widespread of insect pests. Understanding the life cycle of the housefly will suggest several methods of controlling this disease-carrying enemy. In the United States, as in other countries, most houseflies begin their lives in moist, decaying matter. On farms where care is not constantly taken, areas where animals are fed often make good breeding places for houseflies. Female houseflies are attracted to waste food or slops. Among other farm areas where houseflies may breed are accumulated heaps of manure or masses of bran mash and silage. In cities, houseflies most often begin their lives in exposed, decaying garbage. To such places of moist waste, swarms of female houseflies come to lay their eggs. Here is a female housefly laying her eggs. The eggs flow out through a movable organ formed by the tip of the abdomen. Normally, the female housefly lays 5 or 6 batches of anywhere from 75 to 150 eggs during her lifetime. The eggs are left to incubate in the moist garbage or manure. This incubation period takes from about 8 to 24 hours. After incubation, tiny white larvae called maggots emerge from the eggs. For 3 to 7 days, the maggots feed voraciously on the waste material which surrounds them. When the maggot is full grown, it enters its next stage of development. This is a resting or pupal stage. Within 3 days to 4 weeks, the pupal case splits open and the adult housefly emerges. In a few hours, the moist wings and other exterior parts of the body harden. Let's examine the anatomy of the adult housefly. On this large-scale model, we see that the housefly's body is divided into 3 sections and is supported by 3 pairs of legs, characteristics of a true insect. Unlike many insects, the housefly possesses only 1 pair of wings. In place of a second pair, there are organs called halteres, or balancers. Short, bristly hairs to which disease-producing microorganisms may cling completely cover the body and legs of the housefly. On the feet of the fly are pads which secrete a sticky liquid to which microorganisms may also adhere and which enables the fly to climb walls or walk on ceilings. Large compound eyes occupy most of the head area. The mouth parts are of the lapping variety, working somewhat like a mop. These insects may feed upon a number of food materials unhelpful to man, including manure, garbage, and even human sputum. Disease-producing organisms, often found in such materials, collect on the body hairs of the housefly. Other microorganisms may be ingested or swallowed. Though the housefly cannot cause disease, it can transmit or carry dangerous organisms. Often, after feeding on filth, the housefly manages to enter our homes. The food we ourselves eat is an attraction for the insect pest. As it feeds, the housefly regurgitates some of its previous food. Simultaneously, the insect excretes waste materials. Sometimes this waste material is deposited on food. By placing a specimen of this food under the microscope, we see these droppings, called fly specks, as dark spots. Fly specks may contain masses of disease-producing microorganisms. Another habit of the housefly is cleaning its body and legs. If the material removed consists of disease-producing microorganisms, these too might be deposited on food. These are some of the habits of the housefly that make it an enemy to man. We can eliminate many of these pests through our knowledge of the housefly's life cycle. Removing decomposing wastes in which the adult female housefly may lay her eggs will mean fewer houseflies. In rural areas, manure should be spread on the fields instead of allowing it to accumulate. Animal feed troughs should be regularly cleaned of waste foodstuffs. Barns and stables might be equipped with electric screens, an effective means of killing adult flies. In city areas, concrete garbage containers are good protection against houseflies, as are tightly closed metal containers. During the summer, when the housefly problem is greatest, screens should be installed on all windows and doorways and fit tightly. Inside our homes, food must be kept safely covered except when in use. But sometimes, no matter how careful we are, flies manage to get inside our homes. If it's just a case of a few flies, a fly swatter will do the job. And again, for continued control of these insect pests, there should be quick and thorough disposal of garbage. If the housefly problem becomes serious, it's a good idea to spray rooms with insecticides. Remember, however, to put all food and eating utensils safely away and leave the sprayed room immediately after the job is done. If the housefly problem in a community becomes very serious, public health department inspectors will check possible trouble spots and make recommendations for controlling the breeding of houseflies. In any case, let's remember that the housefly is an insect we must continually try to eliminate. An understanding of the housefly, its life cycle, its anatomy, and its potential danger better prepares us to control this common and harmful insect.
Love me a housefly film. One of them, I can't remember if this is the one, has this kind of parade of all these maggots going across the screen. Something very early on in collecting films and showing films, I realized, wow, some of this stuff is just visually stunning and really, really horrifying. So there you go. So I have another film set up on the telecine behind me. Wait. There we go. And this one's another McGraw-Hill film, or at least it's distributed by them. And this is longer, and it's a narrative. And this is part of a series that they did. It's an urban series. So the stories tend to take place in urban settings and sometimes feature kids of color or people of color. And I have not seen this one. So I'm kind of excited to see what this one is going to entail. One of my favorite ones is from this series is called Who Cares, which I've shown some time ago, and it features a little kid who basically he's like the youngest of a bunch of kids, and he basically just says, "Who cares? Who cares anyway?" And his teacher gets mad at him, and then realizes that she realizes that he wants to direct the school band or the classroom band, which is just a bunch of kids with noisemakers. But it's pretty great. Anyway, so here's Mr. Pounds. Enjoy.
Elmer, how do you expect me to sweep the street with you bouncing that ball?
Jerry. Burn it like Ryan Fox here, Jerry. Come on. That's it, Jerry. Wow! You just missed that window. Hold it. Hey, man, missed the window this time. Don't worry about it. Run, kid, run!
Hold it! Hold it right there, Elmer Stokes. Now,
I was
just watching your ball break my window, huh?
Oh, no.
Listen, don't backtalk me, young fellow. You broke my window, you're gonna pay.
Just
standing there breaking people's windows. No, don't tell me what you did and what you didn't do. I know you did it. Essie, keep an eye on the till, will you?
Didn't break the
Elmer,
window.
Elmer Stokes, don't tell me you didn't break the window. I know you broke it.
Break the window.
I saw you boys out playing there.
But I didn't break the window. It was those other
Now,
guys.
don't you give me any of your lip. It's always the other guys. But
say
I
I
saw
did?
you. Yes, you. No, Elmer, no, we're gonna have to tell. No, we're gonna have to tell your mother about this. I'm sorry.
Oh, I give up.
What's the matter, son? Cat got your tongue?
I was just standing there.
Just standing there breaking windows, huh? Let's see what your mother has to say about this. What apartment do you live in?
Please, please don't tell my mother.
What floor? Come on. You know, it's boys like you that give storekeepers like me apoplexy. You know what that is? Come on, what floor do you live on?
That's right. I think my mother went out. Yep, she did. Yes?
Miss Stokes, Elmer here broke my window. Yes, sir. A brand new pane of window glass, smashed to smithereens.
Please. Haven't I been telling you not to play with those big boys? Now you got yourself in trouble. Well, a week in the house doing chores should teach you a lesson. Now, Mr. Pounds, you were saying, but nothing. How many times have I told you not to talk when grown folks are talking?
Well, what I want to know is who's going to pay. That's perfectly good pane of window glass. Costs good money to put that in.
Well, I'm not paying for it. But Alma will.
But I haven't any money.
No, you don't have any money, but you have a strong back, 2 strong arms, and 2 strong legs. Mr. Pounds, don't you need someone to sweep your floor each evening?
Well,
And wash your windows, and stock your shelves?
Yes, I suppose you do. Yes, I suppose I do.
Then here's your man. Elmer will take the job. He can work for you after school every day until you feel that window's paid for.
Well, agreed. All right, young fella. You're going to start to work on Monday. Your working hours will be from 4 to 6 weekdays and, all day Saturday.
All right, son. Inside you go. Boys.
Well, I'll see him on Monday. Oh, and I want to thank you very much, Mrs. Stokes.
You're quite welcome, Mr. Pounds.
Hey, he was coming.
Hey, kid.
Hey, Elmer. Where you going, Elmer? To the store, Elmer? What for?
Same as yesterday. He's got a date with a groom.
Hello, I'm Miss Stokes. Glad to see you. You're 5 minutes late. All right, young fella. Get the broom, sweep down the store, carry out the trash. Same chores as you did yesterday. Just a minute, just a minute.
Can I please talk to you?
There's no time for talk. There's work to be done. forget under the freezer.
Be blessed if I know what's wrong with kids today.
Let me do that, young fella. Here, you take this and go up and shine the glass on that display case.
Well. Look who got a job. Can he sweep? He's a real sweeper. Jerry, why don't you help the guy? Why don't you? I mean, after all, you did it. Look, if I break a window, I run. Only idiots get caught.
Uh-huh. Very interesting.
You know what this is? It's a stick-ball bat with bristles in. Now take it and get busy sweeping. And you, there's plenty of work for two around here.
Oh, as for you, young fella, you're going to work after school every day until that window's paid for. And I know your mother, so she'll back me up. Now get to work. Why didn't you tell me they broke that window?
I tried.
Still can't talk, can you? And I'll tell you what you do. You come around here tomorrow after school, and I'll give you something for your work. Meantime, go and get yourself an apple. Get two of them, one for that nice mother of yours.
Now you can go home. Be sure to tell your mother who really broke that window. Next time you get into trouble, speak up for yourself, you understand? What's the matter, son? Cat still got your tongue?
I can check that gear in a minute, so don't touch anything, okay? Hey! Get down from there! Now! Hey! Turn it over!
What if it bumped that control by accident? You'd be mincemeat by now. What have I told you? You don't work on equipment when the engine's running.
Well, I told him not to touch anything. All right, I guess I wasn't thinking.
You weren't thinking? You mean you'll work on engines and machinery and not think of your own personal safety? Here. Shake hands with danger.
Shake hands with danger. Meet a man you ought to know. I used to laugh at safety. Now they call me Three-Fingered Joe. I was young and feisty, never did things by the book. Just let me get my toolbox and I'll take myself a look. I climbed up on a dozier with my mechanic's pride. Said, you can keep it running, friend, while I poke around inside. Shake hands with danger, meet a guy you ought to know. I used to laugh at safety, now they call me Three-Fingered Joe. Although I learned a lesson, I forgot it soon scratches showed the young ones I was tough. Till another morning I was grinding on some steel. My other hand got careless and fed my skin into the wheel. Shake hands with danger, step right up and say hello. Grinding wheels and metal are what made me three-fingered Joe. I've seen mechanics burning, and I've seen them take a fall, just to save themselves a minute. I've seen them lose it all. I've watched them courting trouble, seen them take a chance and lose. They get careless for a moment and spend a lifetime with the blues. Shake hands with some friends I used to know. Compared to them, I'm lucky to be just three-fingered Joe.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm having problems with my mute button today. Sometimes I feel like I'm hitting it, but I'm not checking to see for sure. So I apologize for that. Anyways, so we just, periodically I like to play that wonderful cover of Shake Hands with Danger, the song that won the toe tapping tournament last year and trounced the Found Footage Festival guys. This year we've started and we've done 2 rounds so far, and I see some new faces or some faces on the comments, and would love for you to vote if you haven't voted already. Excuse me. On the left is oops, hold on a second. Yeah, we're not there yet. All right. On the left side is round 1, and I'm putting a link for round 1 in the comments. And so we are seeing On the Way to School versus I Am Me and Want to Be, Ducks versus Handy Dandy Filmmaking Film, Choosing What to Make versus the Vandalism Film, and the Truck Song versus the Education Today Rap. Round 2, which we showed earlier, Never Say You Can't Until You Try versus Me and the Monsters. World of Work versus Telezonia. Put Your Finger In. The Mulligan Stew Flim Flam Man song, which some people said sounded like Harry Nilsson, versus the AC Delco 1973 Spring Campaign songs. And then, of course, Body Talk, Breathing and Talking, written by Neil Innes from Monty Python, versus Snacking, Garbage in Your Gut. So, would love to get your votes. You have until Sunday, this Sunday. Then Monday, Katrina and I are going to say who voted and who won, or we're just going to say who won, and then we'll do another voting round, and we'll whittle it down from 8 into the final 4, and that final 4 we will challenge the Found Footage Festival guys. So there you go. That's what that's all about. Would love your comments and submissions, and also, when you email, it's nice to say hi. Maybe find out your real name. I don't know, if you want. But also, if you like what you saw, please hit the thumbs up, the like button, the subscribe button, all those things. All those things to say that you like what we're doing. You can also buy us coffee at ko-fi.com/avgeeks. One last film. What do I want to see? I want to see Farmers Face the Future, because there's alliteration. Enjoy.
As the armed might of free men plunged like a flaming sword into the heart of tyranny, as the day of total victory drew near, 6 million American farmers looked to the future. The same 6 million farmers who lifted food out of the land to win the war, and who continue to produce the food the world needs as it travels the road to peace. Farmers want a world at peace that will keep them busy growing food and fiber and timber on the land. More than that, a world that pays off in stable, honest prices. Sounds like a pretty big order, doesn't it? American farmers are used to big orders. They got one, special delivery airmail, on Sunday, December 7th, 1941. A pretty big order. America woke to fight. And her soil must fight. What would we need? More cereals, more grain, more meat? How much? And how could farmers produce it without repeating the mistakes of World War I, when we plowed up the grasslands and pulled the life out of many acres of farmland, paying ourselves off with dust storms, erosion, worn-out land? It was too big a question for any one farmer, or even farmers in any one state. The answer must come from here, and it did come. These boys got top priority, tons of food for the armed forces, for civilians at home, for Lend-Lease, a lifeline of food that covered thousands of miles and spoke 100 different languages, but said one thing: we'll get food to you. That wasn't all. Hunger would rage like a flooded river in the towns the enemy left behind him in his flight. Tons of food for relief and rehabilitation. Washington counted up the tonnage for a blueprint of farm production, and the farmers turned it into a reality. Wheat spreading like an ocean across the land, corn lifting its broad leaves to the sun, dairy products rolling in from east and west, meat from the pastures and ranges of the nation, cotton in the southern states, flax in the north central states, lumber charging down from the forests, fruits and vegetables from farms in every part of the country. All of these and many more became national crop and livestock goals, with every farmer in every state on tap and needed for the job. Yes, a blueprint for production. In goal meetings like this one, the government asked the states and counties asked the farmers. Farmers talked it over, figured it out for their own land, and went to work. It wasn't easy. Industry and Army induction sliced farm manpower to the bone, but everyone pitched in. The women, the kids, and city folks came out to help, or they took a little of the farm to town in victory gardens. And these helped plenty. Home canning in the city and on the farm. Short on help, short on machinery, but farmers patched it up and made it work. The food rolled in, a gigantic tribute to American farmers who produced a third again as much as was produced before the war. How was it accomplished? First of all, farmers had learned through bitter experience that they must take care of the land. What is taken from the soil must be put back into the soil. The land must last forever. Second, farmers had improved seed, fine strains developed through years of scientific research, hybrid corn throughout the corn belt, rust-resistant varieties of wheat and oats spread across the grain belt. There were risks, yes. There were increased dangers from disease. Pastures were often overcrowded. There was a shortage of insecticides to combat armies like these. When bad weather laid low a crop, there wasn't much to do but pray, and then salvage as much as possible. Yet, farmers produced. And they got help. The Stiegel bill guaranteed prices at 90% of parity for war-needed crops. They were encouraged to try new crops, needed because foreign supplies were cut off. The government supplied support prices, crop loans, dairy feed payments. And farmers delivered the goods because they knew where their own particular jobs fitted into the pattern for victory. But that's only half the story. The world of iron-jawed Il Duce was turned upside down. Berchtesgaden and Berlin no longer shielded the madman who dreamed of world domination. And most impolite Americans had the audacity to laugh at this sacred son of heaven. What does victory mean to the American farmer? What about post-war markets? Will farm prices topple when wartime demands are cut? The number one question for both farmer and laborer: can we avoid another depression? Depressions don't stop at city boundary lines. They knock the pins out from under both the city dweller and the farmer. Can America avoid another depression? The answer will be yes, if Americans work together against it instead of drifting into it. The job of industry in the post-war world is to supply steady employment, keep up a stable payment of wages. But industry alone cannot assure prosperity. Industry and farming are dependent upon each other, must support each other. This means that farmers must plan their production carefully, grow the top quality products the market demands. And these people, 130 million Americans, represent their major market. To know what products they want, a farmer will employ the same methods he used during the war years. Plenty of discussion with other farmers, plenty of cooperation and planning, with industry backing up farmers and farmers supporting industry. Farmers help support a stable industry when they buy the products industry turns out. Electrical equipment means a better life for farm families, means more and better products that will hold their own in the highly competitive post-war markets. Millions of farm machines are needed to replace those worn out in the war years. Turning them out means more jobs for industry. America needs prosperous, growing farm communities, and farmers want better homes, better sanitation, better equipment, better schools, churches, roads, and better health facilities. There is need for enough new farm buildings to provide millions of man-hours of construction and billions of dollars in material and labor. Farmers will pay for these things with their savings and matured war bonds. Another assignment for farmers is soil and water conservation. 165 million acres need contour cultivation. 400 million acres of grazing land need to be relieved of overcrowding, and 265 million acres need to be returned to grassland. 90 million acres of farmland need protection through terracing. 40 million acres need drainage. Legumes in rotation, liming, fertilizing, and manuring are needed to maintain and improve the soil. 3/4 of our timberland has been cut over. The rest produces only a scant half of what it should. Now is the time to rebuild and restore our forests. Now is the time to replace bad practices with good. Now is the time to lay the groundwork for the production of more timber, more forest industries, more jobs. Yes, soil and water conservation, a major assignment for American farmers in the post-war world. In addition to markets supplied by a stable industry, there will be new markets for farm products. Here, a program of school lunches and distribution of food to low-income groups, programs designed to boost our national health and well-being. Competition for foreign markets will be keen in the post-war years. Farmers who produce the highest quality at the lowest cost will ship most to foreign ports, and we'll need foreign outlets to help consume our increased farm production. Industry will probably have new uses for farm products in the manufacture of synthetics, plastics, alcohol, and other things. Farmers must keep informed about the demand. America's farmers face the future realistically. They have produced in abundance for war. With the cooperation of industry, science, government, and the people in a prosperous America, they can and will produce in abundance for peace.
Wow. I did not expect it to go down that path, so I apologize for the dead bodies that showed up in the middle of a film made for farmers about their post-war futures. So the takeaway from this film is really fascinating to me, and this is why I collect films and why we watch them, is because this is looking to address the anxiety that American farmers had post-World War II. They didn't know what was going to happen. They had just come from a Dust Bowl situation in some areas, and also the Depression, then the war effort, to where the economy of agriculture was manipulated, and so that we could support the war effort. And then everybody was concerned about what was going to happen afterwards. And so this film is trying to say, like, we're going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right. There are similar films that were made that are trying to address what was happening in Europe at the same time, where parts of Europe were utterly destroyed, people killed, the horrors of war, and those systems for getting food in place were not there. So a lot of these countries were facing horrible depressions, horrible inflation, and starvation. And so I have films that also talk about that and talk about how American farmers can help by providing surplus for these other countries that we fought in. And so it's just kind of an interesting kind of look at, like, you see the footage when you talk about World War II, you see the victory stuff, you see the people celebrating in Times Square and all this exciting stuff, and everybody's happy and soldiers are coming back. There's all this prosperity, but then there's this anxiety. And so that's why I like watching films like this and showing them, is because they're not a history lesson in that they're not trying to tell what was happening in the past. They're contemporarily made to say this is what's happening. We hear you, etc. So there you go. There's me talking about stuff. Anyways, I'll be back tomorrow, Thursday. We'll watch some more films, as always. Appreciate your feedback and your comments, and would love your votes. I'll put those things for the toe tapping tournament in the notes one more time, the comments one more time. Would love to hear from you. Everybody have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we will be back soon. I should say, today's 420, I know that, but last time we did a 420 show with a bunch of films about marijuana, everybody got bummed out, so we're not doing it. We didn't do it this year, so maybe next year I'll find some better ones. Everybody take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye.